Hey, party people, let's talk about sourcing fabrics. I have a bunch of stuff today, and then at the end of my spiel, I'm going to show you 3 interviews I conducted with people I met at the LA Textile Show. All right, first let's talk about retail versus wholesale. Now, retail is basically you just go into a store, whether it's on the street or online, and buying however much you want based on how much inventory they have, right? And in retail, your options are basically your standard retailer and jobbers. What's the difference? Jobbers get most of their inventory from just like buying odds and ends here and there, scooping up clearance sales. Like a cutting factory will have like all this leftover stuff designers left behind, and jobbers will come and buy all this stuff. Designers at the end of a season, they won't have a need for certain fabrics, and so they'll offload it onto jobbers at a super discount, and then you can take advantage of that discount when jobbers mark it up and sell it to you. Now, the thing about jobbers is they do give you good prices because of the way they get their inventory. Their inventory is so severely discounted that you get the advantage of the discount. But because of the way they get their inventory, you cannot reorder stuff for the most part. They can probably get you stuff that is really basic, like white cotton shirting, black charmeuse, things like that. But anything that's novelties, special colorways, they're not going to be able to get those for you again. Your standard retailers like Joann Fabrics, those kinds of chains, and even like smaller retail shops, they will be able to reorder stuff. Not everything. You should ask them if they can reorder more stuff, but they have, their sources that are not these sort of clearance sale type things. Okay? But because they're getting their sources from not discounts, the prices are going to be more expensive. If you're a student, then this is basically how you're going to source your fabrics for your project. Jobbers can be a really good resource for many students because unless you're working on your senior collection, you're not going to really need a lot of fabric. You're probably not going to need to reorder it again. So getting a little bit of yardage here and there at a discount will work in your favor. Your next question may be, Zoe, what is a jobber near me? I can't answer that because I literally have viewers in over 100 countries. I mean, you need to do some research on your own. I'm giving you this information to help you get started. Okay? Wholesale is when you order in bulk directly from mills, converters, distributors, commonly through a sales rep. And I go into more detail about what those 3 things are in my Fabrics 101 video, which I'll link below. Every fabric suppliers being mills, converters, distributors, there are some general rules that apply to most fabric suppliers, but all fabric suppliers, they have their own ways of doing business, meaning they have their own minimums or MOQ, minimum order quantities, and it might not even be company-wide. It might be like, these denims have a 10-yard minimum and these denims have a 100-yard minimum, okay? And depending on where you live in the world and what the fabric supplier's rules are, you might need to get a resale license in order to do business with them. A resale license, long story short, is a license that allows you to buy wholesale in bulk without paying sales tax. Listen to me very carefully. Whenever someone tells me they want to go into business, when they want to start a fashion design business, my first piece of advice is always go look up the business laws of the place you're going to do business. Don't do illegal stuff. Know your rights. Also know the perks of doing business where you plan on doing business. A resale license is not the same as a retail license. You need to go look up all those things and what those things mean for where you live in the world. Okay, back to buying wholesale. Okay? You can research fabric suppliers one by one. Google is your friend, and fashiondex.com, it has a lot of listings for fabric suppliers, trim suppliers, contractors. They also carry a book called, what is it called? The Small Design Company's Guide to Wholesale Fabrics and Trims. And it's a book that lists a lot of companies that have small minimum order quantities. You can also attend a textile show. And what is a textile show? A textile show it's a trade show. You walk into a giant room or a series of rooms, and textile companies, fabric suppliers, trim suppliers, they set up these booths, and they have their color cards and their headers and their sample yardage and salespeople, and you can visit. Okay, for the most part, you don't have to make appointments unless you want like a serious long discussion. You might go in there and ask to make an appointment, whatever. You walk in and you can freely look at their stuff and ask questions to the salespeople in the booth. And these textile shows, they run year round and they occur all over the world. So go ahead and do some research on a textile show that may be near you or someplace that isn't too expensive to get to yourself. This is a header, okay? A header is these big swatches. Some of them are smaller than this. Some of them, like the yardages, are like this big. But you have the swatches hanging, and you have a card up here that has some basic information on the fabric. Now, some companies write out a ton of information on these headers. Some companies do not check the information on the front and backs of these cards before you ask the fabric sales rep a bunch of questions that are already answered. These are color cards. It'll have a small swatch usually, and then all the colors that the fabric comes in the fabric quality, because, you know, colors, they change a little bit once the texture is different, right? So, color card. There was one booth I went to. There were a couple of booths I went to at the LA Textile Show where they had like these pieces that were like 2-3 yards long hanging from these hooks on these racks. And you could just kind of like mini drape with them and kind of see how they hang and see how the big yardage looks. And that was cool. Not everyone does that though. So with these textile shows, usually you need an industry badge to attend. And you can apply for these online typically. And it's not a huge deal, okay? Basically, the textile shows, they want to know that the people attending their show are people who actually work at a company, who are actually going to potentially buy in bulk from the people who are showcasing. It's not like getting your driver's license where you have to do a road test and then answer a bunch of questions on like vocabulary. Nothing like that, okay? I recommend textile shows for people new to sourcing so you can get some idea of what is out there, okay? Fabric suppliers, trim suppliers, trims meaning like zippers and ribbons and labels and buttons and bows and all that good stuff, right? And even garment production facilities will set up booths at textile shows. And then also there are a lot of companies that do both. Like, oh, we have fabrics. We also have a sewing facility. And if you don't like our fabrics, you can still bring your fabrics in and we will sew it up for you. Like, have those kinds of conversations. Go up to booths, have conversations with people. Don't use the first person that's nice to you, okay? Go do your research. You do not have to order at the show on the spot. Most people don't, unless it's someone that you've been working for many seasons. Like the last big company I worked at, you know, we ordered the same linings pretty much every season, sometimes in new colors, but we always knew what linings we wanted. So we would just stop by, say hi, have some coffee. They would give us some candies. We would put in our lining order and then move on with our day. But that's because we've been doing business with them for so long. But if anything is new, we would just take swatches or order color cards, and then take them back to the office or have them shipped to the office. Some companies, they will charge you for color cards, for headers. You know, this is a lot of fabric, you know? And if everyone wanted like free headers, think about how much money they would be spending, okay? So it's not unheard of for companies to ask you to pay for headers, to pay for color cards. So don't be surprised when they charge you. Many people feel intimidated about entering a sales booth and talking to salespeople. And, you know, they might look unapproachable. They might look busy, like they're filling out paperwork or they're dicking around on their phones. Here's the thing. Salespeople want to talk to you because you're a potential customer. That's literally their job. The whole point of them being at the trade show is sitting around and trying to drum up new business, drum up repeat business. So they want to talk to you. So don't feel intimidated. If they're busy doing something, listen, as someone who's worked inside the trade show booths for different things, trust me, the most important thing is meeting new people and getting them hooked on your product. Okay, so whatever other paperwork they might be busy doing, that's stuff they're doing only because they're in between people. So go ahead and go in there, look through some headers, feel some qualities, look at some color cards, read some headers, and talk to them. Okay, they want to get to know you. You're a potential customer. They want your business. But, hashtag don't be a dick. Here are some of the questions, not all, I can't think of everything, but here are some of the questions that you should or could ask. Number one, where do you produce? What country? Okay. How long is it going to take to get to you? Okay. And what are your minimums? And maybe be more specific about which fabrics you're talking about. Another important question to ask is, do you have an in-stock program, or do you keep certain styles in stock? Why is that important? Okay, some people, they do have an in-stock program. They have a specific section of their fabrics that they keep in stock at all times, which means that they can get your stuff faster because they keep it in stock, so they don't have to wait for things to be made. And number two, generally speaking, because they always keep these fabrics in stock, they will have smaller order minimums with your stock stuff than they do with stuff they have to make to order. Okay? So it's important to ask these questions, especially if you're worried about minimums. What is the average lead time for materials that are both stock and not stock? Do you have any sustainable, environmentally friendly products? And how are they certified environmentally friendly? Things like that. And then if you're working on customizing stuff, you might want to ask them about their process. It's like, oh, do you do artwork? Or do I need to provide you with artwork? What format artwork do you need? And what's the lead time? Once I get you the artwork, how much time does it take before I get to see a sample? Okay, so you can ask for them to walk you through the process and timeline like that. Take notes. Okay, there's nothing more annoying than someone asking again questions you already answered. But that's my inner teacher coming out. Sorry. I just want to say one quick thing before I start the interviews. This video is sponsored by nobody. And so the companies that are shown in this video, I do not recommend them. They're just people I wanted to get to know and to interview so that they could maybe answer some of the questions you have. But I'm not necessarily saying that you should go work with these companies. Now, one of the people, Dave at CBF Labels, I worked with him 10 years ago, and he remembered me and the hang tags that he made up for me, and that was super cool. And I do remember him being awesome and the company being awesome 10 years ago. But again, that was 10 years ago, so I'm not going to be like, yeah, you should totally go work with them. Like, okay? Like always, I give you ideas, I give you information as a springboard for your own research and question asking and all that good stuff, all right? So please give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new today. Drop all your questions in the comment section below. Check the description box for related video links, and enjoy the interviews.
My name is Brian Tu. I'm the garment manager for Concept U&U in Los Angeles. Basically, we are a full-service manufacturer that starts from development all the way to production. We do sampling, pattern making, trim sourcing, fabric sourcing, marking, grading, a little bit of everything. Men's and women's, denim knits, wovens, a little bit of everything.
So what's your favorite thing this season in terms of fabrics that you think is really going to take off?
I don't know if it's going to take off, but I mean, some of the new fabrics we've developed are like nylon-based denim. It's the craziest part is like the softness and like the wearability.
Nylon-based denims?
So it's going to be right here. We actually have a patent for them. Here, so these ones.
So what's the advantage of making a nylon-based denim?
So it actually has all the properties on here. So it's actually news to me, but apparently the wear strength, the slippage resistance, and the softness of it. So I guess cotton-based denims sometimes like they'll get hard, but like because it's synthetic or nylon, like you can make it in a way where it's like it always remains soft. So that's definitely one of the pros. I mean, everything has cons. Some people support cotton-based fabrics only; they don't like synthetic. So there's always that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your recycled denims?
Um, so recycled denim. I'm not too familiar with these. I'm more on the garment side, to be honest with you. But I just know that we're always constantly developing new fabrics.
So for those of you at home who did not know, you can source different apparel factories at fabric shows because a lot of fabric mills, they do branch out into other fields, other categories of garment construction. So you say you're in charge or you're
the
more
garment side,
the
the
garment
manufacturing,
side.
exactly.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your business?
Of course. So basically, I think the incentive of working with our manufacturers is that we provide every service that you would need for manufacturing. Um, a lot of times designers find themselves, running the errands such as like running fabric to wash houses, like bringing denim to get, distressed, this and that. We basically provide everything. It's a full service. All you have to do is come with us with an idea, and then we'll basically make that come into fruition.
Where are you based?
So our operations ran out of Hong Kong. Our office is there, and our 3 factories are going to be in Shenzhen.
So for your U.S. customers,
Yes.
Who would be the point of contact?
So basically, I manage a lot of the production, so I would be the overseas communication.
Are you here in LA?
I'm here in LA, yes.
Okay.
So our office is in Arcadia. So what happens normally, so the ideal process for our customers is basically submit a tech pack, physical patterns, digital patterns, or a physical sample. And then basically you send it over to China, we get that first sample done, you get it back, and then you fly over with the fit model to the factory, and you basically stay there for 2 weeks or a week. And if you want to source fabric in China by yourself, so what we do is we actually take you to the fabric market in Guangzhou, and you source that, and then you come back with the headers, and then you decide then.
So customers can use the fabrics that you have on this end of
Yes,
your
of
booth,
course.
but also source separately.
Of course.
And
We're here to
remind me your
accommodate all that.
minimums again?
For manufacturing, it's going to be 100 pieces, 300 pieces. The ideal production volume is 300 pieces, but anything under that will be a small surcharge.
Do you have some lead times, kind of like
Yeah.
estimates?
So from development, the first sample normally takes around 2 to 4 weeks. It's really dependent on the capacity of the factory at the time. The second sample generally takes around 2 to 3 weeks, and the salesman samples take around 2 weeks. And then as far as production goes, it takes around 45 days from the moment the fabric reaches to the factory. So in case there's a fabric supplier who delays the delivery of the fabric, we can't be responsible for that. So we'll let you know when the fabric touches down the factory, and then that's when the lead time begins. So 45 days. And you have the options to air it in or boat it in.
So my channel, you don't know, but my channel has a reputation for, playing it real, just getting the real word.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
What is a thing that designers do where you think, man, I wish you would not do that. That does not help anybody.
Lacking perspective. Lacking perspective.
All right.
And that
Example,
can be applied to a lot.
please.
For example, feeling like you're my only client.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Anytime.
Yeah, I'm a freelancer. I feel that a lot.
So it's one of those things where it's like, well, 3 weeks takes too long. You do 2 weeks, and it's like acting like you're the only client, and it's like it's lacking perspective. So that's like the upsetting part of it. It's not so much like just doing what you're doing; it's just lacking perspective. So that's one. Not knowing the process of how things are made, and feeling like the price isn't worth what it is. Because a lot of times it's like, I mean, I've been working with this factory for around 4 years, and it's like I understand the client list. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I hate when designers actually have leverage when it comes to negotiating something, and it's not really like that. It's one of those things where it's like, if you want to work with us, great. But if not, then don't try to like, knock the price down or, doing little things like that. It would upset me. Because I think a lot of times we offer more than reasonable prices. I'll tell you one thing, like it might not be the cheapest factory you find in China, but you can have an ease of mind. My biggest thing is like, if there's a situation where it's like, the delivery date is tomorrow, like you have an ease of mind working with us. Whereas another factory, it's like, I don't even know if it's going to come, and when I unpackage the goods, it's going to even look like what I thought it was going to look like. So ease of mind is like worth more than money, in my opinion.
Very cool. Well, thank you for speaking with us. Where can my audience find you? Should they come looking for you?
You know what? If you want to find my personal page, it's going to be at Brian Chen 2. So BrianChenTu.
What can I do
on Instagram. So,
all right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm with CBF Labels. We've been in business for 30 years in the apparel industry, producing custom labels for manufacturers.
What are some of your favorite offerings?
Well, I'm sort of an art in, art out guy. Since we're a manufacturer, we count on our customers to provide us the designs to help their brands, woven labels, printed labels, leather patches, embroidered patches, woven labels, so on and so forth.
You have a lot of different processes here. You're like on paper.
We specialize in custom hang tags. We do a lot of high-end custom pins, strings, grommets, ribbons, folding, scoring, different paper stocks.
So if a designer wants to order labels with you and wants to get started on that process, how can they approach you? What things do they need to bring to you?
Well, hopefully your concept's already down and you know what you're looking for, but it's the simplest an email. Everything with our business starts with the artwork, so we need a good, clean, finished, vectored art to scale, and exact representation in art of what you want that label to look like, and then we're good to go. We need to know how many you need to order, and we'll price it up and go from there. And we always provide a pre-production sample for our clients so they can test it, wash it, make sure it's done to their satisfaction before we run a full production job.
What are your minimums?
Well, that's $1 million question.
That's a question nobody likes.
Nobody ever asked me what my maximums are.
All right, what are your maximums?
Well, our minimums typically run on patches 100 pieces, and on labels, due to the nature of the machines, about 1,000 pieces.
All right. And your maximums? What's the biggest order you ever had? And you're like, oh my God, when are we going to make all these?
The biggest order I ever took was from Oakley. And I made them a woven label patch with a Velcro backing that was a $250,000 order.
Ooh, fancy. And you do like size tabs too, right?
Yeah, we everything we do is custom, but we do have stock size tabs.
Do you have estimates on your lead times for my viewers?
Generally speaking, about 10-12 days for a sample and about another 10 or 12 days for production after sample approval.
Where do you produce?
We're a sales and marketing company, so we're the sales force for a variety of manufacturers domestically in the Far East. So we produce a lot in China, Seoul, Korea, Bangkok, Thailand, and just here in LA as well.
So, real talk, this is my favorite question that everyone hates. What is something designers do that you wish they really would not do? Because that does not help anybody.
I need good artwork.
So you mentioned vector work.
Right.
All right. For those of you at home who don't know, vector is like line precise work done in like Adobe Illustrator, as opposed to rasterized like photos.
Somebody sends me a
grainy
JPEG
stuff.
And wants a label.
Yeah.
I can't work with that. I need vectored files because I have to cut patterns.
Right. So I know I'm always telling my audience you have to learn Illustrator, and a lot of people who are like super computer phobic are like always kicking and screaming about it. So anytime I get an opportunity to tell them to learn Illustrator, I take it.
We can help it. We don't do conceptual work at our company. We do what I call mechanical artwork. Change the PMS, change the size, move it to the left.
Very cool.
But we don't design somebody's
right.
design.
They have to bring the design, but you could do.
You have to have your branding and your concept down first. So.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
My pleasure.
Hi, I'm Andrea with Easy Fabric. You can see our name here. It's super tiny because they don't like to advertise for us, but there it is. We are the Minky people. As you can see, we have a lot of different types of polyester fabric that work good on everything from apparel to baby blankets and fur coats, and every one-stop shop for everything that you need.
Yeah, I was groping these faux over here earlier before I talked to you, and they're so soft.
They are very soft. That is one of our selling points. I chase people around telling them they have to touch it because you just have to touch it. That's what makes you fall in love with it. It's really a comfort fabric.
Yeah, the AC is blasting in here, so I'm just like, can I just get in here and stay here forever?
Definitely. I told my boss I refuse to do any of the shows unless he makes me a jacket out of one of these to kind of say more.
Can you show me what you think is going to be a really good seller for you this season?
Definitely our mud cloth prints. So this is something new that we're introducing. It's 100% polyester. It has that mud cloth look, but that soft hand to it because a lot of them aren't as soft. So these are definitely going to be the hot sellers this year.
New designers are always asking me about calendars and scheduling. How far ahead do designers start shopping for you? Like, what season are they working on right now with you?
So right now it is September and our designers are coming in to buy stuff for their February catalogs, which start selling around March.
Okay.
So it gives you a little bit of an insight of what their time frame is. A lot of this stuff also is imported. So we do like to tell them try to plan at least 10 to 12 weeks ahead to make sure that you get everything here that you need and you give yourself some wiggle room.
And what are your minimums?
Well, we make it easy for you to work with us, hence the name Easy Fabric.
Uh-huh.
Our minimums are actually 12 yards. So
Seriously?
yeah, seriously.
12 yards
so
to import in.
we're a stocking program.
Oh.
So a lot of this stuff is stocked. So for the people who are new in the industry, can't afford to do the 1,000 to 1,500 yards, definitely the place to go.
Sweet.
Yep.
Ooh, let's look at some of these prints.
Definitely.
Can you show me your favorites?
Definitely going to be down here for our favorites.
Those are cool.
These are really cool. They come in a bunch of different colorways, and the great part about it is that we can match any Pantone color that you want with a minimum order.
Nice. I love these grays.
The grays work really well. This is one that is doing really well.
Oh man, I like that a lot.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah. So what's something designers do that makes you think, oh man, I wish you wouldn't do that? That is not helpful for anybody.
I think really just kind of over-explaining sometimes of what we're doing, and it's great you have an idea and it's good to be really excited about your idea, but when it comes to the textile industry with us, like what we really want to know is how we can help you get there and what kind of minimums or what kind of look you're looking for. Sometimes even a little bit too much background information. I think people tend to zone out a little bit, but other than that, I mean, we try to tailor to everybody. So
Do designers get all like fluffy in their inspiration and their stories, and they get long-winded about how creative they are?
a little bit sometimes. Don't get me wrong, like it's
No. I've had students like that. It's fine. I'm like, keep it simple, keep it short. I'm falling asleep, but like I get to do that because I'm their teacher.
Right.
But you guys have to like kind of cater to them in a sales way, and I see how you could not be as rude as I am.
Sales, it's all about the nice smiles and being attentive.
Exactly. It's like, can you keep it to some keywords? Like, show people what you're doing, keep it short.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I can see how that could be real boring during a meeting.
Sorry, I'm just getting distracted over there with somebody
All right.
doing their dance.
Oh, the people who didn't want to be on camera are distracting the person on camera. I see how it is. We're having a lot of fun at the textile show over here.
Definitely.
And, all right. Do I have any more questions? Oh, how can designers find you guys?
Easy. They can look us up on a website at easyfabricinc.com. You can look up different types of minky material. We're very easy to find because we are one of the only people that carry the snuggles in the minky.
Sweet.
A little bit of a niche market.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thanks a lot. Bye.